Hello, welcome to Salt and Light Canning. I'm Jessica and this is my kitchen and I'm happy that you're here. Today I am making some strawberry jam. So I have measured out, I have 18 cups of strawberries here. If I can pour this in here, maybe. Oh boy. There we go. I'm gonna get this turned on and bring my strawberries to a boil. Anytime you're making jam, you're gonna need to, it's in stages, right? So I bring my fruit to a boil, then I add my pectin and I bring that to a boil, then I add my sugar and I bring that to a boil, and it just takes some time. Jam goes really quick, but the stages in between, you just have to be careful and make sure that you're following those steps. So first things first, I need to bring my fruit to a boil. And I do large batches because it's easier for me. If you don't do large batches, that's okay. My ratio that I'm using is 1 cup of fruit, 1 cup of sugar to 1 tablespoon of pectin. I highly recommend that you read your pectin because yours might be different than mine. But read your pectin, and the 1-to-1 ratio tends to work out really well for me. But read yours and find a recipe that works for you. Anyway, I'm going to get this fruit up to a boil and then we'll move on to our next step. So my strawberries have come to a boil, but it's not quite a boil I can't stir down. So I need them to come to a boil that I can't stir down and maintain that boil for at least a minute. So I'm just gonna let them do their thing. Making jam requires a little bit of patience. Okay, now we're at a boil that I can't stir down. And what that means is when I stir my fruit, it stays boiling. Okay, so we are going to let our fruit boil for at least a minute. And what I do is I watch my little clock on my stove. You can set a timer. Do what works for you. This is what works for me. But you've reached a stage in jam making that you're really not going to want to walk away from your jam, okay? If you do, it could scorch, and that tastes terrible. Or depending on the size of your pot, it can bubble out all over the place. And that's a mess you don't want to deal with. So just make sure not to walk away. All right, we've been boiling for a minute. So now what I'm going to do is I have about half a cup of lemon juice. I'm going to add that. I'm also going to add my pectin. Now my ratio is 1 tablespoon of pectin for every 1 cup of fruit. So I have 18 tablespoons of pectin here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my immersion blender, because I don't want big huge strawberries in my jam, and I'm going to blend my strawberries. Now that my strawberries are all blended, I need to bring this back to a boil that I can't stir down. And you guys know I don't really skim my jam. That's not something that I do. What I do is I will add a little bit of butter, and that'll help take care of all the foam. Especially berries tend to foam like crazy. They just do. Don't know why, but they do. That's what they like to do. So I just add a little bit of butter, and that tends to take care of all the foam. But I need to bring this back to a boil that I can't stir down for at least a minute. And then we will add our sugar. Don't walk away from your jam. Strawberries also tend to swell like crazy. So when you're making jam, you're going to want a pot that's at least twice as deep as your product and a long spoon to keep yourself from getting splashed, because jam is about the same temperature as boiling lava. You don't want that to splash out on you. All right, we are back to a boil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch my kitchen clock and I'm gonna let my jam boil for at least a minute. And since this is a larger batch, I'll probably do 2 or 3 minutes. All right, my jam has been boiling for about 3 minutes. Now I'm going to add my sugar. I'm going to add it all at once. Stir it in really well. Now after adding your sugar, you need to bring your jam back to a boil that you can't stir down. All right, now I'm stirring and my boil comes right back. We're at a boil that we can't stir down. So I'm gonna time my jam by watching my kitchen clock for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. All right, we've been boiling for a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna check the set on my jam. I already know it's gonna set just from the way it looks on the spoon that I'm stirring, but I check my set with a frozen spoon that I stuck in the freezer before I started to process my jam. And since this is so hot and it coated that spoon so well, I know it's gonna set really well. Can you see that? And it tastes delicious. All right, we're gonna get set up on the other side and get this in jars. I'm going to fill my jars to about 1/4 inch of headspace. And I'm not worried about debubbling because this is mostly liquid. And it's just beautiful. This is just beautiful. There is nothing as pretty than jam you make yourself. Just beautiful. I'm going to clean the rim of my jar with a little bit of vinegar on a paper towel because jam is very sticky, so you want to make sure that there's nothing that could interfere with your seal. And I line up my lids. You don't have to. I have to. And just to finger tight. Oh my goodness, that's pretty. And very hot. Strawberry jam is Hannah's favorite. Wipe the rim of my jar, line it up, and just to finger tight. I'm going to keep filling jars. I'll be back when I'm loading them in the canner. So I have all of my jelly jars in this canner. I have a rack on the bottom and then a rack in between because I've double stacked. Everything's covered with water and I have a splash of vinegar. So I'm going to put the lid on. My stove is on. Everything's hot. I'm going to bring this to a boil and I'm going to let these process at a boil for 10 minutes. And I'll be back when we're taking them out of the canner. So my jars have finished processing and I'm ready to take them out. So pretty. Already sealing. Love that sound. Well, I hope this blessed you. Hope it encouraged you. Don't be afraid to try. You might just discover that you love canning. Anyways, check out my links below. You'll find my Etsy shop and I'm putting new stuff in there every single week. So you're going to want to see that. And, you know, just be so blessed. I really love you guys and I am thankful that you watch my channel and you're such a blessing to me. So be so blessed. Know that you're loved and be a blessing to someone else. I'll see you in the next video.